Hey, top of the morning, riders. This is part two to my first video explaining my juvenile hall experience from day one, meaning the first time I went to fucking juvie, Eastlake Juvenile Hall. Fucking, you guys do remember I said I got sentenced, or I did 16 months on my first term, right? And I got sent to placement in Highland Park and Optimus. I AWOL from Optimus, and then I got sent to another placement in the jungles on Stockton and Aiden, I think it was the name of the streets. Right there, I was probably like 8 months there, and I would always see those Blackstones, those BPS, from the jungles. And there was one dude particular that would always go to the group home, and on the low key he'll sell weed to people and shit in the group home. His name was JJ, light skinned dude, had an afro, and we kind of looked alike. So every time I go to the liquor store or whatever, they'll kind of confuse me with him, because he looked black, but he was light skinned. So I kind of had like a fro at that time, or not a fro, but long hair, and I we had similarities, and a lot of people thought we were relatives and whatnot. So me being in this group home, a lot of people thought we were relatives, and for some reason, some people will confuse me with them. And I just go along with it, you know what I mean? Because at that time, he was my friend. Well, not my friend, but just really getting weed off of him and shit. My associate, you'll say. And my charges that led me to that first term, that first juvenile hall sentence, that visit, that stay at Eastlake Juvenile Hall, was a 245 assault with a firearm. I had a 38 Magnum, real beautiful gun. Had an impact like a motherfucker, but that gun was something else, dude. That shit would do damage. For a 38 pistol, little, it would do some damage. So that time being, again, I was in my tryout periods, testing out drugs. I was only 12 years old at the time, growing up in my teenage years. And again, I was kicking it, and I was affiliated with this gang within that neighborhood that I was living at the moment, called MKN, Mexican Clan. That tryout period had me like fucked up, kind of. I ain't even gonna lie, because it was P-Dogs. Like, I wasn't smoking crack, off the base or whatever, off the fucking pipe, but I was lacing up these blunts, sprinkling them with crack, and that shit was pretty. It was tempting. It wasn't. It was getting to the point where it was getting a little too good for me. So yeah, I hit this. I hit this fucking jail. This juvenile hall term, and that kind of turned the notch, down on what will be the drugs, because I was in there and I wasn't, I didn't have access to drugs or whatnot. And again, mind you, I'm only 12 years old. I'm on a tryout period, so I'm not fiending, and I'm not wanting all this shit. And just going to juvenile hall, it helped me at that time, because of I was doing it back to back, smoking and shit, P-Dogs, and it helped me to just bring it down and not want that shit. But I did like weed. I did like smoking a lot of weed, because it helped me with my mental state. And where I was gonna touch the bases at is, all of this comes from something. It's created from something for you to want to commit crimes, want to be part of a gang, want to fit in. Is either you don't have a fucking dad, your childhood's fucked up, your mom's not there, or it's different scenarios. Everybody has a different fucking scenario, different case. My case was simply that I was abused, not sexually but physically, meaning I'll get my ass whooped from one side or the other side, meaning either my pops or my mom's. Even stepdad came along, within the time frame, and then as well from that side. And it just, all that shit created a fucking monster in me, man, that at the age of 12 I just felt like exploding, taking all my anger out on anybody and everybody, because my issues were hard to handle for a 12-year-old. So that led me to an assault with a firearm, a 245 charge, and I was sentenced. I did 6 months in juvenile hall, if I'm not mistaken, and then like 10 months or so in placement. Again, I AWOL. For those who don't know what AWOL is when you escape that area, you leave that zone, that house where you were housed at. So I was in Optimist group home out in Highland Park, and from there I AWOL back home, trying but let me retract a little bit. When I was sentenced, I also had DFS on my back, meaning child services. So legally my mom didn't have custody of me anymore, because all the fucking shit I've had created before that, before my first case. Because I also got kicked out the LA Unified District, the school district, public schools, and that was for some weed, because I used to sell weed, a knife, and some lighters or whatnot. I got caught in at Fauché. I used to go to Fauché Learning Center, which was a middle school out in the Harlem 30s on Exposition in Western. And yeah, they caught me with a few sacks. It was a lot of weed, a knife, and police picked me up. They took me to Southwest. This is before I got trialed for this 245. They took me to Southwest. They basically fingerprinted me, told my mom go pick me up because I was too young to be in jail. So that happened. Then life started getting more fucked up, and I caught this 245 case where I was, actually going to juvenile hall for a good stay, within that area there, because of that crime that I committed. And all that happened. You're getting the experience of fighting. You're getting the experience of gangbanging. And you're just fucking life off, because you get involved into this fucking jail lifestyle that kids think is cool. So you keep going back and back and back and back to fucking juvenile hall, just to, you would say, catch enemies and learn how to fight, and put a name out there for yourself. So that's what my teenage years went through. Well, that's what I went through as a teenager. I put myself in so much bullshit from the age of 12 all the way to the age of 18. I was in and out of juvenile hall camps. I hit the Drake program when I was fighting my fitness, and I got my first strike or whatever for some crazy shit. Man, that was just life thrown away, bro. Childhood, because I didn't really have one. Due to the circumstances I used to live in, the child abuse. And, we all have this story where we can fucking relate to each other, but it's completely different, because some loopholes are different than others. Some don't go through child abuse. Some go through sexual abuse. Some go through fucking drug rehabs. Some just don't have a home and been in fucking foster homes all their life. So it is nearly within the same range that we live in and we grew up with here in South Central, coming from Latin families and certain black families as well, which are really close to each other, meaning they're similar. But man, it's crazy how you just fuck your life off when you're a teenager. Well, I did, and it was not worth it at the end, because I end up now as a grown man. I'm nearly fucking 40 years old. I'm completely different. I'm the opposite of what I used to be. And I just, certain shit I despise from it. I don't regret it because it made me who I am now. But I sure don't, I'm not proud of it, what I used to be in the past. But, hey man, I like the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. Tell me your experience. Tell me your fucking experience going to juvenile hall when you started your gangbanging career. I'll be happy to hear them, and look at the comments. If you like the motherfucking video, the conversation, subscribe, man. I'm gonna keep it going with these shits. This is not a prison channel. Fuck no. I'm just giving you my life story. And throughout my fucking YouTube channel, you're gonna see certain fucking gaming videos. You're gonna see how I hang out with my family in the bike in the bike world, because I am a rough rider. I changed my life around, as I mentioned. I'm no longer gangbang. I don't consider myself a gang member. I'm not in I didn't finish in bad standings or anything. I just don't tolerate that fucking stupidity no more. Because I'm a grown man. I have a family now. So I put that shit to rest. But I do have my brotherhood, which is the Rough Riders. Make sure you like and subscribe, comment. I'll be on point with the comments. Tell me about your life story, man. I'd like to know. Ours.